Oh, I think they're on the camera. Oh, okay, okay. Sounds terrible for being on a family trip.
Yep.
You know.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our August 11th, 2026 Board of County Commissioners 9 a.m. board briefing session. Let the record reflect that all 5 commissioners are present. Commissioner Waldron is on Zoom and the rest of us are here in the conference room. We've got a busy morning, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And we're getting started with International Airport.
Yeah, good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity this morning. As with many of them in the last few months, we're here for a real estate purpose. But before I get to that, this is our first public appearance since the fires, and I wanted to convey my both professional and personal appreciation for your sheriff and first responders and all the women and men who served in the response over the last week. It's not an easy thing to do to balance public safety, and your teams have done it with grace and compassion, and I'm just sincerely appreciative. So thank you. But with that, I did want to turn it over to Rob. As everybody remembers, the airport has a lot of things that it can do. One of those is not property acquisition. And so we're here today to brief you on potential acquisitions. I'll turn it over to Rob.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, good morning. We have 2 items for consideration today. We have a utility easement with Inland Power and Light, and then also a purchase of real estate property. And thank you, Ron, you were timely with that. And so this is our transload site that we have on the west side of our property. This is an easement that's going to allow Inland to provide power for a couple of different things. One, just redundant or duplicate power in terms of what we have out there at the site. Also, it is going to provide power to what is called an automatic equipment identification system, AEI portal, which is going to essentially read the rail cars that are going to come into the transload site. That will provide information to us, such as the ownership, the type of car, the products that's in there, destination, those kind of items that's going to be in there. And so that's going to be really critical for us as we start to ramp up activity out of the transload site to have that in there. So that easement with Inland Power is really critical for us for that power that we're going to have out there, as well as for providing that to that portal for us. And Ron, if you could go to the next one, thank you. That's just a little bit more of a close-up of this. And so that AEI portal I mentioned is going to come off of the Geiger Spur line and the rail line, just on the left-hand side of that chart that you're seeing there, to provide power to that. If we could go to the next one, Ron. This is just a little bit more of a close-up in terms of the utility easement itself that we have out there in terms of the location of that. So again, really critical for us to have that easement with Inland Power and Light Company on there. The final one, I think that actually might be the final one. This is it. So in summary, this is a non-exclusive easement with Inland Power. Provide service out there at the rail truck transload site for us, and specifically to also have the AEI portal as part of that service that we have out there. Since this is an easement, we do need city and county approval for this one with it. So that is the first item that we have today for consideration by the Board of County Commissioners. The next item is a property acquisition that we have. This is actually near Phelpsfield. So it's 7102 East Bridgeport. This is a residential property that we have out here. We do, as we always do with property acquisitions, we have a fair market value appraisal that we do. You'll see that here a little bit later in terms of the actual appraisal itself. So appraisal came in at $300,000. We are authorized by FAA to go over that if needed. So we did actually increase this to a $330,000 offer. So 10% increase over FMV. This is a residential property, has been used for residential during the entire time it's been developed. So there was no phase 1 environmental that we needed to do. We do have a clear title for this, and considering where this is within relation to the runways at Phelpsfield, we will end up demolishing the structures that are on that site for this. I always think it's important to note that we did not pursue this acquisition. The seller actually approached the airport about this and asked if we were interested in acquiring the property. The next couple slides will just show the overlay zones that we have. So this is within airport compatibility zone number 1, as well as within the runway protection zone. So really critical for us to be able to acquire this property just from a high risk standpoint. in terms of the approach and departures of the runways out there. I think this next slide is just going to show, it's a busy slide, and I'm just going to summarize it really quick and just say, this was identified in our master plan back in 2014, that if the property became available, that we would try to acquire it. And again, seller approached us on this, but it fits in perfectly with the master plan we have currently adopted. And then the final one is just the screenshot of the appraisal itself from Valbridge for that. And with that, that's going to conclude my comments. I will open it up to any questions. Commissioner French.
So what is the timing on the demolition of that house? Because of the fire and everything, it would be nice if we could at least keep it available for rental for a family that otherwise might not have access to a home.
Yeah, so if you recall, this is probably the second time in the last month or so that we've been here asking for property acquisition approvals. We have probably 4 or 5, I think, acquisitions, and so we probably won't really get to this until 2027, to be honest with you. Just because we're going to try to collate all of those together and just do one contract for the demolition of the properties that we have. So I think it'll probably be a little bit of time before we do demo this particular structure.
Yeah, it'd be nice if somebody could be in there while they're rebuilding their home and stuff. So just, we're gonna be running out of homes and stuff, and so it'd be nice if they could get a place here as opposed to being in Moscow, Idaho. Just
Yep, absolutely. That's a very good thought. Thank you.
That'll be more of a decision
yeah,
at the airport.
airport board, yeah.
Other questions, comments?
Thank you.
Very good.
Makes sense.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Then take us to.
Thanks, Mike.
Right, is you want to come up?
Sorry.
Good morning.
Good morning, and I don't know if you and Ashley both.
However you'd like, we can tag team it or.
How do you guys want to do it? I didn't know.
I'll let you go. Okay, great. Sounds good. So you were given the presentation ahead of time, so I'm gonna kind of go through it pretty quickly. I think this is more of just a formality, considering that we have a new process now. TPA does have a reserve, and we have asked to dip into that reserve, and the hotels have approved, the commission has approved, so this is what you're seeing today. So gonna kind of go through what our ask was. We have $100,000 ask out of the reserve, and it's going to go directly towards a hotel overnight booking campaign. The objective is to just showcase the Spokane hotels, specifically in the TPA roster we were focusing on. So we're talking about the hotels that do collect that extra $5 assessment, and highlight features that in and around the hotels that would make someone interested in coming and actually booking a room. We're working directly with third-party booking systems to track overnights, and the goal is obviously always to refill the pot that we're dipping into. In case you're wondering, how is this different from anything you do every other day of the year in terms of generating overnights? Traditionally, when we do TPA dollars, we focus on destination promotion, which includes all the other segments that we talk about with dining, arts and culture, attractions, sports tourism in terms of outdoor activities. This is specifically talking about hotel properties, which we don't normally do, only hotel property focus. So you can go to the next slide. So the largest cost out of this campaign is actually to acquire the visual assets. So when you're working with creative assets, they do end up costing a little bit more. So we're doing a full video and photo shoot at multiple hotel properties with hired talent, and in and around the hotels too. So an example of in and around the hotel would be when we talk about Hotel Indigo, which is a TPA hotel, we actually are going to focus on some of the businesses outside of the hotel in terms of photos, so that people can know kind of the little district that exists over by Hotel Indigo, which is one property that we're trying to get more people aware of, considering that it's just far enough off of the walk-in path from like our downtown core that we need to make sure people are staying in that hotel. So we are spending quite a bit on photo and video assets. One thing to note too is anytime that we do photo and video collection, we are always thinking evergreen. So we're gonna get the best out of our materials to be able to put this into future campaigns that are not only hotel focused, but do have the tourism promotion or destination promotion touch across the board. We'll also have some paid social as well as the third-party booking engine. when I say third booking, you can think like Bookline, Priceline, TripAdvisor. Those are the big dog real estates out there on the web that we want to purchase plane power in. We do have our own booking system on our website that we offer to the hotels for free. We don't take any cut out of any rooms that are booked through there. But we didn't want to advertise on that site because we're paying to have the exposure on the top dog real estate across the internet. So that's why we're working with the large providers in terms of booking. You can go to the next slide. So this just kind of talks a little bit about the content development. Again, we'll work it into our All Around You campaign, which is our overarching campaign. We use this campaign for both leisure and meetings business. This hotel campaign also does have a meeting focused demographic angle. We have a model that we're hiring, putting a lanyard on, making sure that people are aware of all the other opportunities to stay outside of just our convention hotels, but our other hotels that are in the downtown core that are easily walkable to the convention center if they did come for it. You can go to the next slide. This just kind of gives a little bit of a breakdown of kind of the storyline behind what we'll be doing. Again, we're not showing people like sleeping in the hotel bed or eating at the continental breakfast. We're actually showing the other things that happen in and around. Another example would be like a jazz night at one of our hotels. We'll have the model focus story on that, meeting people. We'll be able to use those photos again for this campaign and future campaigns when we talk about nightlife and things to do after 5 p.m. Go to the next page. So this is our investment breakdown. You can see that content development is $22,000. Then the next highest price is our third-party booking agents. We have a few examples on there: Booking.com, Expedia, and Adara. I think we actually did land with Priceline for this. When we created this slide, this was before we knew exactly who we're going for. Because when we create these presentations for the TPA commissions to give them an idea of what we'd like to spend on, and then they either approve and say, yes, move forward to go sign contracts, or they say, no, we're not interested. Thankfully, they were interested. In addition to the online booking, we'll have some meetings pre-roll, like I mentioned, which means we'll have some information directed towards convention goers, which is, of course, our highest spender in terms of demographic when they come to Spokane County. And then we will be working with some influencer situations where we have a large social following in terms of getting an influencer to stay in some of these hotels. And then last but not least, we will have also publication, which is more of a traditional ad style with a hard print scenario. Not as easy to track. Go to the next. Out of this campaign, we'll have a content toolkit that we will be able to give to the hotels. So every hotel that we photograph and video at is going to be getting their assets for them to use on their own site as well. So they're going to leverage our dollars and our marketing consultation and our talent and be able to use it in their own marketing. We'll also give them the full breakdown of where ads were shown, where they were displayed, so that if they do want to add additional marketing dollars of their own, they can bump up the ad in the areas that we're also promoting this. This campaign will go to visitors across the country. It will not be regional. It will be aimed to get people that are living 50 to 100 miles plus outside of the area to come and stay in Spokane. Next page. So this just kind of details the types of reporting that we're going to be giving back to the hoteliers. So not just to the TPA commission. We'll have a full dashboard tracking our ROI of our marketing spend. Because this is a very focused and niche campaign specifically for hotel overnights, we're going to have very specific metrics that we're tracking in regarding to that. And the hope is that this does well, and then this can become a yearly, if not every other year campaign that we can kind of boost and use the same amount of visuals. So we're not spending as much money year over year in terms of advertising, but we do want to have a specific campaign that is helping directly the hotels and not indirectly through our destination promotion. You can go to the next page. And you can actually skip through that and go to the next slide. So this is the timeline. So during Q2, which we're in, March, April, May. What are we in? February, March, April, May, June. We just finished Q2. That's right. So we've already been working on this. This is a little bit of a delayed presentation. We've already got all of our content photographed and videoed. So we're working on slicing that all together and creating the published versions of that content. And then when we see Q3 and Q4, we're starting to put that into pre-roll and into advertising. We have some build-up that we need to do on our website. So that's happening right now in Q3. But these ads will run starting in Q3. They will run through into next year. So in through our kind of low season, which would be our occupancy at the county is usually much lower from November through February are months that we want to see more people travel and be aware. Yes, we have sports tourism, but those are very concentrated to weekends. And hoteliers need to see occupancy growth throughout the year and throughout midweek across the board. So not only on a few weekends a year. So this will run through kind of our low period, and then we'll be able to give a final report out mid-year next year for the hoteliers. And of course, we're happy to also send that report to you if you are interested in reading hotel data. So that's how we're using our dollars. This was approved by the TPA Commission. And then we do have a contract, Jim Amacio, who's still working around to help us get that going. So that's, everything's beneficial. Again, like I said, I think today was just to give you a little insight into kind of what we're working on in this specific ask with these dollars. And there could be potential asks in terms of reserve money in the future from both Visit Spokane and Spokane Sports. Any questions?
So it's not all reserve?
No.
Okay.
We haven't drained the reserve. And we have to remember too, just a couple of talking points. This is a industry approved assessment that the hotels can control and manage, but the county acts as our facilitator and holding the reserve. So we can track and see kind of what's going on, but ultimately at the end of the day, if the TPA Commission moves forward with approving, then we work with the county to get that handed over.
And I'm new to TPA, I've been on the board, but the commission is advisory, is that correct?
The commission is,
Okay.
Yeah.
And the board kind of approves the allocations.
Right,
Is that
Chris is kind of asking you the
Oh,
question.
yeah, no, I'm ex officio on
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's
I
kind of the
sit on-
advisory group.
I have a voice, but not a vote on it.
But you have a vote here.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
well, he has a vote on the Visit Spokane board,
Yes.
so kind of
Full
balances out.
Yes.
Yeah, we've never had an issue where the TPA Commission has approved and the county has denied, and if that did happen, there would probably be some conversations we need to have. But I think we're all good.
And I also wanted to say thank you for, I know you from the Tourism International Group, you secured a donation for fire victims through that. And then
Yep.
you had a great list that I know was circulating of open hotel rooms for fire
Yes.
evacuees or victims to utilize as well.
Yeah,
So
thanks, Josh. Yeah,
everybody's doing their part and you were doing a big part too.
we were able to get $20,000 into the destination, which is pretty great. And hopefully that will grow with members being asked to also donate. Half of that is going to Spokane Home Relief. The other half is going to Big Table, which helps directly for hospitality individuals. And we've asked that money goes to those that have been displaced that are needing an extra bump. So we'll work with Chris at Big Table for that. And then we also have updated our travel advisory page on our website, which we haven't had to update really since COVID. So if COVID taught us one thing is that there's some crisis communication platform that we could actually reactivate. We also had some conversations with Maui and Pasadena, California, and we're able to tap into our colleagues' toolkit on kind of how they handled. So now we are officially entering into like recovery mode. Our travel advisory page is talking about how we are open, and the best thing you can do is visit to like support these businesses to put money back into the economy, but to travel with caution. And we've given them kind of some steps on how they could do that, as well as linking back to the county's page, and Innovia's community crisis page, and ways to also help if they're interested in donating. And we'll continue to manage that lodging list until it's no longer needed. So that is also live, and we've given that to media as well. And I would say last two, kudos to the county. I'll echo what Dave said. You guys have done a great job, and I've seen a few of you on the news as well. And I mean, nobody wants these things to happen, and I think we've handled it. You all have handled it very well. And it's not the best way to be a national spotlight, but if we can elevate kind of the neighbors helping neighbors stories now moving forward, I think that that's going to be a great national story for us to kind of leverage, like a Spokane Rising scenario. So it'll be very. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Appreciate it. Great.
Ashley Blake, I'm on staff at Spokane Sports. So our mission is to strengthen our community through the power of sport, and we do that by creating, bidding, and facilitating impactful sporting events for our community. The request that you have in front of you today is for US Figure Skating Synchronized Ice Skating Championship. So this is an event that was 4 weeks ago, just added to the Olympic agenda. So you'll see this competed in both the 2030 and the 2034 Olympic Games. Spokane's a finalist to host the event, which would take place in February of 2028. Can you advance to the next slide, please? So a little bit of a profile on it. This event would bring about 17,000 athletes to our market. They would contract about 3,000 hotel room nights for our community. And our request is for $80,000 to build on that effort. We believe that with some targeted marketing and community engagement that we can add another 20% of the room nights on top of that. Next slide, please. So this is really a regional event. The primary competition venue would be the Spokane Arena, but we would rent sheets of ice from Eastern Washington University, from the new Two Sheet Ice Complex in the Valley, as well as Eagles Ice, because of the volume of practice that these teams need when they come into our marketplace. So our request is split really between 3 categories. That first one is awareness, is focused on our regional paid media reach, so focused on our drive market, so Washington, Idaho, Montana, in that 100-mile radius and further out. The second one is conversions, so working with our schools and our clubs and really our grassroots efforts to encourage people to get up to the event and experience it. And the last one of the requirements for our bid was to have a community engagement. What's the legacy? What's the leave behind of this event? So we've been working with some of our partners locally, talking about, what's the equipment leave behind? Could we work with these high-level athletes to do a camp or a clinic in our marketplace? So right now, Spokane's a finalist for this event. February of 2028, they're reviewing bids in the next 2 weeks. And this is something that I could go back to the governing body with and say, hey, we submitted our bid, but now I'm able to sweeten the pot. Our community has got behind this request. And we really, it would essentially transition us from just hosting the event to really amplifying and making the biggest impact of this. A short bit. Any questions I can answer around this one?
So I guess timing.
Yes.
So if they're making a decision in 2 weeks, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So if we don't get it, then the funds aren't needed.
Correct. Yeah, so this is a $80,000 request contingent on us winning the bid. And for context on kind of the greater picture, of course, Spokane has a storied history with US Figure Skating. We're finalists for Synchronized Ice Skating Championships, and we're also in some pretty in-depth conversations around a bid we have right now for the Figure Skating Nationals. And that would be in 2027 or 2028. So regardless of what the event is or what the order is, we think we have a really good chance of hosting a high impact figure skating event in the community in the next 24 months.
And to use to bring these dollars.
Which I.
Okay. Seeing how much money we have in it.
Oh, in the reserve.
Yeah.
Yeah, same course of action as Visit Spokane. This would be coming from the reserves. We brought this to the TPA Commission.
Oh, so this isn't coming out of ours, it's coming out of.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, TPA, same request, TPA.
I mean,
Yeah.
you did into yours as well.
Yeah.
Like.
Piggy banks.
At the bottom of the slide, it says TPA request.
Miniature.
For some reason on my screen, they're sideways, so I
Yeah,
can't.
if you, there's a little arrow thing in the corner, you can rotate them. Right click it,
Just a question.
right hand corner of the screen, there's a little arrow. It's in a circle.
You're in. You're in a different thing than I am.
Empty in a browser.
Yeah.
question.
But anyway, sorry.
So if it's approved next week, is that in time for the reviewing of the applications to kind of be a benefit?
I think
Does that
this,
schedule work?
yeah, I think it's as simple as like, hey, I had an opportunity to secure additional resources from our community. This is in the works, and it's really more about instead of just Spokane Sports coming to the table with a bid, it's hey, my community's behind me. We really see this as an opportunity to leverage this.
So is there a date certain when the winner will be announced? To cite?
Oh, that's a good question. It'll be a little bit for us to get through the partnership phase, the contracting. I can circle back with a specific date if that's helpful.
Yeah, just sounds like if we approve it next week, you can send it in, they're still doing it, so that's good. Just trying to get a sense of the timing.
Yeah, even a status update, if I can go to them, drop them a line today and say, hey, I had an opportunity, we're working towards securing additional resources. Of course, there's future steps, but I think that good faith effort goes far as well.
You know right offhand how much is in the TPA reserves
It's in the 370s, but
range?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay. 370-ish. Okay.
We checked with budget and finance and they have sufficient resources to pick up both these contracts.
yes, and just as a reminder too, it's continuing filling, so we have, it goes 1% or 2% of what is overall collected is going in there, so.
So just, Chris, I'm understanding all of this for the first time, but when you bid on an event like this, how does it relate to any kind of current events that might be thought of to use those spaces?
So we have a community-wide calendar that we work through, and we have a business review that we work with our hotels and facilities where we look at these opportunities. What does the availability look like in the city? February is a need period for our market, so we tend to target those shoulder seasons. Where can we drive revenue? This is an extended stay event as well, so I believe it's around 7 days from move-in competition to move out.
So you go through that process every time to make sure that spaces are available and others aren't displaced.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a pretty extensive business review that our hotels and our facilities and our key stakeholders sign off on.
Having the funds to do it, so it'd be on next week's agenda for us.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Misty, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. You were
All
out,
right.
so we'll just let you start.
Okay, Misty Griffith, Therapeutic Courts Coordinator, for District Court. And we're just here today. We were allocated funding from AOC as we typically are each year. Excuse me. We did apply for that. We're awarded that money. The total amount of that is $247,000 or $247,000, $695.27. And the cost categories for that, they break that up for us and give us cost categories that we have to fall within. Personnel costs is $120,000, staff equipment and technology, $347.35. Team training and travel, $16,000, recovery supports, $16,347.92. Treatment services, $95,000. And majority of this funding does go directly to our participants. But there is some that does go to team training and travel so that we don't affect our general budget in the travel category.
Sorry, I'm having issues.
No worries.
No,
It's my first time doing this, so I can feel my face.
you're doing great. You've been on Zoom before, but
Thank you.
You're doing great.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we're
any
just,
questions? Yeah, just, yeah, the funding's already there, but if you have any questions.
Mr. George.
So it's just renewing what we get every year.
Yeah, and we did, I think get a little bit more, but even in the budget crisis that we're in, we did, I thought.
Yes. Every little bit is going to help.
That's right. We were cheering.
So. Okay, any other questions for Misty? No, great,
All right.
thank you.
Well, wow.
We'll make it clear.
For that. Check that one off the list. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Well done.
Got Preston.
Hello, how's it going, everybody?
Good.
Obviously, real quick, very similar to what you've been seeing already this morning. We have a grant that we've continually received from Commerce for our victim witness. Unit, $61,052 that covers 66% of the victim witness plus the cost. So we're just, seeking the renewal on this. It's one that we had. It's time. Apply it directly to our victim services. That's about all I got.
I say yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I think it's one of those as we've seen, it's like. Support for victims is shocking, and so anything we can get and help. is important.
And we were blessed this year in that there was some additional monies that we had applied for from Commerce. So we got a little bit more in addition to this, so directly for victim services. So that was very helpful. There's a finite amount left.
Yeah. As long as we have you here and your sheriff's here, it's like, I just want to say thank you for all the hard work that all of you guys have done this last week and a half. It's been hard on everybody. You guys have been stellar, and then being able to find a person who on the arson side and your job and helping with that. I know it's a team effort on all of that. My hearts go out to everybody. So thank you for all the hard work that you guys have done.
So I appreciate that, and I did plan on saying thank you to all of you as well. I mean, this last week that our community's been going through, seeing the time and the hours and when the emails are coming through, and all these different things that you're all doing as a board. I think a lot of people don't understand the strain and the stress that each of you as leaders have to deal with. So I'm very, very thankful to all that you've been doing, and I've been letting folks know that our board is very, very actively engaged in trying to help our community rebuild. I mean, obviously the sheriff's office did a phenomenal job in their investigative side of this, and we're going to do our best as law permits on the prosecution side. So, but everybody's been really together, and I love seeing the community and the harmony that we've seen this last week and a half. So good job to all of you as well.
And I think people don't understand all that goes on behind the scenes for all of that. I mean, to what you guys did, what you're doing, but also judges that have to be part of it to provide warrants and all of that.
Well, and our
at all
judges,
times.
but I do want to give them a shout out too. Hats off to them. They came across from our Superior Court or District Court just to work and find harmony to ease the burden on our community. They suspended jury trials via emergency order for a couple of weeks, so that way they're not sending out jury summons. That has a huge impact too. So you're not dealing with the anxiety of I'm going to be found in contempt of court if I don't show up to this thing, but also just making sure that court operations are working well. So I thought our those three levels of judicial branches did a phenomenal job of working together. So that's important as well. Anyways, well, thank you for the time. Any questions on?
I have a question before Preston goes. The board is taking a harder look at smaller level grants because it costs our administration a significant amount to administer them. Why is victim witness assistance significant cost?
So this is huge in the sense, and just like what Commissioner Brooks mentioned, we've been seeing support for victim services at a statewide level drop, right? And so this is incredibly important because that victim advocate
the 66% we have attributed to our juvenile advocate. We've seen an explosion in juvenile violent crime. We have a lot of firearm related crimes and sex crimes that happen or juvenile. And it's really important to be able to have that person there that can interact and help victims wayfind through that process. So it's incredibly important to make sure that we're fulfilling our statutory obligations, meeting victims. In our anyways.
And it's been an important piece that we keep bringing up because we've been helping teachers that, you know, having lived experiences on both sides.
Yes.
Of the judicial system and how important it is to have that perspective from both.
Yeah, and it is important because I think sometimes we get myopic in the view of what's lived experience. You know, when I sit across from the table of a family that's lost their loved one, or their, you know, son or daughter has been raped or abused in some form or fashion, I promise you that's lived experience as well. That needs to be first and foremost and when we're setting policy.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Am I next?
you're next, and I know you guys are like
Well, first,
exhausted.
the sheriff's office appreciates the acknowledgement of the efforts, but I will say, you know, I would give 100% credit to the people who are working the patrol, the deputies, the commanders in the field, as far as the, you know, effectiveness of the evacuations and the way things went smoothly that night, that no one was hurt, that we know of yet. And also just some basic, you know, boots on the ground, following your gut, law enforcement work is what identified the suspect and detained him and questioned him appropriately, and then the follow-up investigative work, you know, found enough probable cause of chargeable crimes. So a lot of great work done in a short amount of time by our rank and file deputies on the scene and throughout the day. So we appreciate the acknowledgement, but a lot, you know, all the credit goes to them. So
Yeah, and was it also citizens that helped?
yes, it's in the real-time crime center as well. So just a collaborative effort of the community and our law enforcement and just people out there working and just following their gut and doing what they believe is right.
And how many people did you evacuate in a matter of like 3 hours?
Thousands and thousands, yeah, and it was moving so quickly, you know, and then also collaboration with the city of Spokane and their law enforcement, you know, to get those communities evacuated as well. You know, it's incredible that nobody that we know of so far has been hurt. So.
I know some of you were in those evacuation times, you know, so it seemed like forever, I think, on the citizen side, but when you step back and look at how many thousands of people you evacuated in a short amount of time, is pretty amazing.
If you would have asked me if it was possible, I would have said no before it happened. So it's crazy how fast.
The IMT teams that came into Spokane from California said that this is the most effective evacuation they've ever seen.
Unfortunately, we're getting good at it. You know, that's the unfortunate, I mean, I'm glad we are, but it's because of necessity and that's what's the unfortunate part. So.
Yeah.
All right. I have a few quick things and then something that might take a little longer, but first is we're requesting the acceptance of our yearly registered sex offender address verification program award from WASPIC. It's for $321,402. This is the money that we use to pay for overtime for detectives and deputies to go out and verify addresses on all the sex offenders that we have in our community.
Necessary.
All right. The next is the interagency agreement between the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission and the Sheriff's Office for a contract for Director Tony Anderman for him to complete some work with them, the curriculum development and structural design that he does for the basic law enforcement and other training. They compensate us not to exceed $52,768 that they sent back to us for his work. We use that money to offset salary in different areas for the deputy director mostly. And the work between July 1 and June, or July 1, 2026 and June 30th, 2027.
makes us very proud that we have Tony with us because he is definitely seen as the expert.
He is, he would humbly say no, but he's probably one of the statewide experts or maybe even nationwide experts in this field, so. The next is the grant application for ESHV 2015. We are submitting a grant. What's that? Oh, no. Which one is it? Oh, that's they put it different. That's what it is. We are submitting a grant for 5 million or an ask for $5,758,000 or some change. This will go to fund staff in the Real-Time Crime Center, one staff member in DEM. It'll add a civilian position to the air support unit to coordinate, so we can take those duties away from commissioned deputies and put it, so they don't have to do that. We don't pay overtime to do it. The training unit, 7 instructional support contracts for various training, de-escalation, crisis AI simulated training software. This also covers software in addition to the personnel. And then Spokane Valley Police would like to hire 2 deputies to do jail transport, kind of a paddy wagon type design. And that's what Chief Ellis is here to talk about. And then a parking enforcement officer. Sure, there's questions.
Mine would be, my understanding is we haven't heard back on whether the state has approved the application in order to qualify for this. So do we know, are we gonna get an answer soon?
We haven't heard back, but the lack of responses is, I think, sort of good news, because they're not saying that we're not in compliance with a bunch of, we knew there were some things that we'd have to work on. We knew that they would find some issues, but we have plans on dealing with those. So we haven't heard back. I don't know if they have reviewed it yet or if they have, and it's in compliance.
So do you wait until they say you're good and then you submit the
We have to
request?
submit the application tomorrow.
Oh, before they've even, oh.
Yeah, there's the cutoff for the applications.
That's happening across the state.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that, because I know even Key County hasn't gotten their application approved yet either, but everybody has to have their grant applications in. So.
The county's application, Heather heard from late last week. They'll be sending some questions over, so it is in process.
Okay, it's like you still gotta get this stuff in, otherwise you don't even have an opportunity for any of this.
And you'll note the Real-Time Crime Center positions they're existing now, but their funding runs out at the end of this year. So we're seeking funds to continue them as positions that aren't going to exist after this year. So
It's not supplanting.
right.
Yeah.
And then in Spokane Valley, these are new positions. There's a 25% cost share with the jurisdiction, but I believe the Valley understands that, they're okay with that. So.
I think we gotta go after the funds.
I thought there'd be more questions. Yeah. Right.
No, we gotta go after the funds and hope we get them to help us.
Do you have anything else to add to that? Or?
I guess, will it be made clear to these individuals that this is grant funded? And when the grant funding runs out, so that could mean position runs out too.
Yeah, and then that's been, frankly, we've been clear to the Real-Time Crime Center employees this whole time that was the case, right? They're hired from ARPA funds, and so this will be a continuation of that if we receive these funds.
It's actually on the job description.
It is.
And they apply that funded through a certain date.
And with the Spokane Valley positions, I mean, that would be on the Valley if they wanted to continue the funding, which I believe they're all for. So.
Nobody's gonna come back to the commissioners and say the commissioners cut those positions, are they?
I would hope not. Yeah, I would never say that.
Okay, I appreciate that.
No, that's why we put it in the job description. That's why it's very upfront.
Quick question. So do we have to sign off on the grant application? Or you're just informing us that it's being made?
Well, and I don't know I believe the OCC would have to sign up.
Yeah, the board did request, we had a grant discussion a while back. And the board did request that all applications come forward for approval before they go in. So it's usually a head nod, but we have any signatory type paperwork.
Another thing I'll point out, sorry, the ASU position is also a new position that is not currently funded as a separate FTE. However, our plan is, or what our intention is, if we receive the funding for this, is to remove that funding from ASU and use that, the funding that we already have for ASU that we're using commission people to do, and move that over and reduce the budget by that much to cover it, so. It won't be an additional budget ask.
ASU is the air support.
Air support unit, yes, sorry. I speak in acronyms.
I heard a lot of acronyms.
Yeah.
The last 10, 11 days.
Trying to help,
Yeah.
like
I am.
it's sad that I know what else
Yeah.
to be, actually. So, so this just needs,
It looks like the largest ticket item on here is the training software Avatar. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I wish I could, but I don't know much about it. It's simulated training software that this is a Tony and training center thing that he's been working on. I can bring him in and have him talk more about it or what it is. He'd be I would just be reading notes that he wrote, and I don't have those in front of me. I believe they're in your packet, but
I can follow up separately.
yeah.
so do we, I guess the question is, does this have to be on the 2 o'clock or, but just.
Maybe they can move forward without.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't been doing legislative approval to 2 o'clocks, just like yesterday when I brought up the one
For
for Ashley
application.
Callan. Yeah, so when the award comes in, that's when you can say, no, we don't want it for 2 o'clock, or yes, we do. But just like yesterday when I did that quick one for Ashley, just kind of a head nod, which is a decision, as we know, to send it in.
Is there any type of match with this? I think I saw a reference to just one match here, but it wasn't a very large dollar amount, but I've only seen that.
The match is on the Spokane Valley side for the.
Well, it's only for those ones, not for any of the stuff where, okay,
It only
okay,
applies to commission officers.
got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, any commission officers you hire, you have to, it's 25%.
Yeah, the 25, yeah, okay, but not if we're using it for.
For civilians,
Okay.
or software or tech or anything. All right, and then the last thing I have is the lateral hiring bonus program, which expired at the end of June, I believe. We're asking for another year extension on it. We do not anticipate filling any of our vacancies until the beginning of next year anyway, so like this is just to get ahead of it. So this is, again, we're not asking for any kind of monetary bonus. This is an incentive program that allows sick and vacation balances for lateral deputies coming over from agencies where they've been established and have sick and, leave balances from those agencies.
So what did we settle on for the amount, the time?
Oh, it's 180 hours vacation and 180 hours of sick time.
I thought it was 120.
I thought we were looking at reducing that
Oh.
amount.
I think it was requested at 180 and then ordered at 120.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with the 120. I think it's not irrelevant, but it still provides the benefit that we want, and
Yes,
and it's not
excessive.
Yeah.
In our minds.
right. No, I get it. Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking. That's why I was asking. the
I
question, 'cause I
yeah.
think we had moved that number down from 180,
Not a problem.
which was just a
Yeah.
week.
I probably just forgot, which I do.
But we should check with,
We can double check on what the original was.
I believe the original was 180. So
Yeah.
and now that you said that, my brain is working, and I seem to remember a conversation about reducing it, but I just totally forgot.
okay. So that was my recollection, so we moved it down to 120. So especially since you're full at this point in time, and we've got to figure out where we're at on the budget, all of that, so.
And yeah, and we fully understand the money is not an option anymore, and so we're trying to think of different ways to,
Yeah.
and this has been pretty successful. We've had a lot of positive feedback from the area.
It's really good. We see a lot of our non-resident reps, I would say that as they come in, our higher level individuals, they get, some bank time, so it's part of the contract. So,
all I have.
okay,
Thank you.
there you go. You guys got off easy. It's been a tough week.
Oh, we did.
But again, thank you all,
Yeah,
and
thank you.
thank everybody, I mean, because everyone has done just a phenomenal job.
We will, thank you.
Okay, is Tori? Person or?
She online. 50/50 on whether she
I
comes
know,
in
right.
or whether she's on, private remote.
Don't see her online.
Here she comes.
Oh, there she goes.
Good morning.
Ran into Judge Schmidt out in the hallway, so I figured I'd stay back. It'd be good news.
Ready to go? Or
We are ready.
All right.
Welcome, thank you.
Thank
for being
you.
here.
So we're just going to present an update on the Becca dollars. We've had some meetings on these, so just very brief history, because I know everyone here is understood. Last year, we went through a severe cut of state funds for the Becca program, which includes at-risk youth, child in need of service petitions, and truancy. We were forced to pare down significantly to meet the statutory required duties of the court and the county. But lost quite a bit of the supports, particularly for the schools as part of the truancy program and case managers for the youth involved in the truancy program. There has been a legislative funding for additional funds. And so the question then was, how do we then allocate those, as we did last year? When we first had the legislative intent came out, we devised a allocation of those. And then when we got an update from AOC on basically what things could be used for, they had included some areas that were ones that I know is important to the county and the commissioners to see if we could utilize those funds for. And so we developed basically 3 scenarios that we could utilize. Scenario 1 is reflective of our original concept. The best things about scenario 1 is it is clearly consistent with the legislative intent of the new dollars, and it gives, I think, the most community value and support for the schools and the use. The scenarios 2 and 3, which we have proposed, are take into account some other departments that were not included in the original legislative intent, but seem to be included in these forms on allocation of the funding. So there's just 3 caveats I want to make for the utilization of the updated scenarios. The first is that the legislative intent, I think, was much narrower than what AOC appears to be open to letting us utilize. And some of the concerns with taking them up on that opportunity is there was some fallout between legislatures and our court administration, juvenile administration, because of various positions on Becca, primarily the uses of warrants, incarceration, some other tools that were removed legislatively that many in juvenile justice didn't feel was a good thing to remove from the toolbox. And so there's been a lot of work to rebuild those relationships since then. And I think these funding shows that that is being successful. So there's always a risk that when you're doing things really outside of what the legislatures had wanted, you could get into a position where you might ruffle some feathers. So it's just a reality that the specific language is a little narrower than what we can apply here. But again, AOC seemed to indicate we can do it, so we believe we can do it. So, and we understand it's important. It's important to be a good county partner. It's important considering all the issues we're facing for the general fund. The second caveat is pursuant to GR 42, which involves the
court's involvement in public defense. It does not explicitly prohibit funding a public defense position through the court. It may be contrary to perhaps the intent of GR 42, but I don't see that it explicitly is prohibited. We just have to know that that is an area that we've been somewhat uncomfortable with from the funding aspect, of why it's not technically management of the public defense from the courts. It may touch on that. So it's just something to be aware of. And the final caveat is the bench still has to approve the final plan and allocations. The bench is the one that's given the authority to allocate the funds. I have looped in presiding the executive committee, so they're all aware of this. We just have not had a full bench on what scenario we wanted to present to the county here, get the commissioners' feedback. It would be our preference, I believe, to present the scenario that includes a staff support. That is the one that doesn't have it has still general fund savings, bit less savings to the general fund, because the concern is about that.
Do you have
those scenarios?
They're not in our patch.
Shelley, could you grab some copies of these
I
scenarios?
apologize.
I know, we're.
I was scrolling through, I'm like, there's.
This is the important part.
Okay, perfect. Do we have those?
They are labeled.
Okay, yeah, those should be labeled there, so we'll get some copies. That would actually make more sense, so.
We're all like, kind of like looking, going, and like.
Well, that's perfect. We'll get to those specifics in a
While we're
moment.
waiting for the copy, I just want to say they brought in scenario one. We requested from a budget perspective, my world's fiscal, that they would look at doing some things that would help the general fund, specifically the clerk's office and public defense. They came back with options 2 and 3, which did that. We're very appreciative of that. The contract did come with more options than the underlying legislation set. So that gave us some flexibility the way the contract was written. It clearly said we could help both the clerk and public defense. And so we were appreciative that they revisited it. I like number 3 because it saves the most money, but number 2 and number 3 are both. We would appreciate those 2 options and can support either one equally. The clerk particularly really saying he was going to be in a world of hurt to get some funding, and we all know public defense right now we're hiring a lot of outside attorneys, which is good and expensive.
And the good things on these, and especially these savings, and when we're saying they're actual savings, because these are taking on things that are already being paid for. So we're really outside of the world of juvenile court, we're really not creating anything new. So the fundings will be direct funding. It's not like creating a new public defender position that has to be funded. It's just funding the current public defender doing the chains of clerk work, and the prosecutor position that's being funded is just supplementing someone who's already being paid from general funds. So these will be actual general fund savings. And even all 3 scenarios add savings. It's just more significant under 2 and 3 because it does take care of primarily that public defense position that's already doing the chins and at-risk youth work. And it takes on that clerk funding where we see the most benefit. I'll let y'all look at
The clerk's office, it does save a position that would be something about with their original budget. So we should.
And how long do we think these funds were going to have these funds? Because as we saw last year, they were bringing them back. But they're just gonna meet again, and so.
So if we'll have them we expect a start date if we're able to get this moving through October to July. Through the fiscal year, and then we will see. I will tell you that when we sat here last year, I thought we were going to see more cuts in the next year, and actually we had added to. So that was a good sign. I think they heard the things that I think this board and our conversations we're having about the importance of these type of work. And so that actually got more support than I thought, which is good. So we know we have it for a year, and that's the other side. And one other just understanding is that if this funding goes away, the court wouldn't necessarily be responsible for keeping the public defense funded, and these are things outside of the courts department that we're going into. So if it changes in July, it's back as I think an executive responsibility because of just how the allocation. But as long as we keep receiving the funding, I think it is possible that it will then continue. I did not think they would up funding or even potentially continue it, and they did. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, no, it is. Tori, is your group talking to legislators to, again, awareness?
Absolutely, I think that's a large part of why we got this money, is correcting what was, shared with them originally. And also there were a lot of legislators that realized they got bad information and were a little frustrated about that, so it would make them even look closer at the work being done. So I do think that, and my groups work with Judges Group, SJA, we have the same lobbyists, the same, work closely on those issues. So yes, my biggest concern is what Judge Schmidt shared is ruffling some feathers because we work closely with some of them. And if this money is not spent with the intent, is direct services to kids, that's my bigger concern, because that can have larger consequences for juvenile court funding in general, future legislative requests. However, AOC took the contract that we used to have and just did here's your new contract without putting in the new language requirements and restrictions. So it's allowed, it'll just take education.
So if you see now with the different scenarios, the savings, there's savings in all three, but it's more heightened for 2 and 3. There's about $60,000 difference, which really is the difference of 2 and 3. The court would prefer the support staff addition as opposed to necessarily the lead supervisor. That is just because right now, when these cuts came, Superior Court cut 2 full-time employees to accommodate the cuts last year. Juvenile had to make some cuts as well. So we have 1 staff member sort of coordinating between the multiple juvenile systems, which are primarily Rebecca, which this covers the criminal side, and then the dependency termination side and the child welfare side. So we would be concerned that without that staff addition and staff support, we see potentially issues in terms of coordinating all 3. We will see potential uptick in filings in this other area. So that's the court's preference, and that's why.
You're stapled 213,
Yeah.
just kind of drop those
Yeah.
scenario number at the top.
Yeah.
So,
So 2 is the statement. It does not have as much general fund savings by about $60,000, but it does, I think, provide the best value and will ensure the best coordination throughout the juvenile court system. When we'll expect to see an uptick in filings under this system. So that's why I think, I could say the bench had the preference for that scenario. 2.
2 is kind of the consensus position.
Can you walk me through, so all 3 of them, 2 truancy case managers is there.
Yep.
On, well, I guess 2 of the 3, you have the ARY public defender. On one, it's ESD contracts, that one's different. All of them have the paralegal prosecutors.
Yes.
2 of them have the clerk, and I guess all 3 have a different one, sort of in the $80,000 to $75,000 range. Can you just walk through what changes with each of those?
So in scenario 1, it was very court focused, so we didn't have the outside of the court system. Because the original legislative instruction was that you needed to essentially create new people that are giving direct services to you, as opposed to supplement existing staff.
So is that the ESD contract that takes
Yes.
care of that?
Yep, so that was
Okay.
where a lot of that came in. So then when we shifted, our first priority was to maintain the case management, which is the truancy, which we don't have currently, which I think is the most important part clearly within the legislative directive. The prosecutor support is to help support the schools directly in their filing, which is necessary to get these cases in to court, or at least to do so more efficiently, because that's where we've seen the most negative impact on our schools, is just navigating the legal process. And then the clerk and public defender were the two issues that we knew, I think, were the most important to counties and the other departments, and where they were most easily in. As I indicated in my original presentation, we think that out of all the other departments, the clerks were going to be the most impacted by this. And so including them made a lot of sense. And then this would help supplement the public defense side, which I know is an important countywide issue, and one that we could, I think, based on AOC's contractual language, accommodate. So those are the big difference. The real difference between the 2 and 3 is
The public defenders are representing these kids, so I mean, it's.
correct. So the public defenders are currently doing it for at-risk youth and CHINS matters. And we are not adding them to also do truancy matters, though they have historically done that. We just, because it's not statutorily required, I don't think it's a good time to create more work for our public defense office. But we can at least supplement the current work that's being done without creating more work as well. So it doesn't, I knew that was a concern for the county, whether it becomes another unfunded mandate where it's like, hey, you have money, but now you have to do things that cost you more. This doesn't do that. This is, I think, from my perspective, pure supplementation. The only areas that will have some added workload will be in juvenile court, and I think because the at-risk youth and CHINS are still going on as normal, I don't think this changes that. It just supplements the public defense. That's another side from the legislative perspective, that this was very truancy focused in terms of the allocation. But then again, on the general funding contractually, it was encompassed at-risk youth and CHINS, so we figured we could use it for those areas. So the big, I'm going.
Oh, can I, in scenario 1 and 3, what? It's 50% of lead worker in 1, and in scenario 3, it's 50% of Becca supervisor. And in scenario 2, it's support staff juvenile court. They're all about the same price. What? In scenario 1 and 3, it's like, I mean, it's 50% of just a different position, but it's the same cost. Does something change there? I mean, it's just,
There's currently.
are they covering half of one position or half of another
So
position?
in
What?
cover, the
is the
staff
difference?
position would be new.
Oh,
The
okay.
lead worker would not. The lead worker is currently doing this under general fund funding. So
Okay.
in scenarios 1 and 2, we had, or 1 and 3, excuse me, we had anticipated supplementing that with this money. So that was why there's savings in all 3 plans. Scenario 3 has that supplementation as opposed to having a new staff member to coordinate filings, which we think is important, and why there's a difference between the two. So that position would remain under the general fund. That's why there's slightly less savings under scenario 2. If that position would continue to work as it's doing now. It's not new, it's just.
And that is the same position, so my apologies for that, it's not clear, a lead worker and a supervisor is the same person.
Oh, it's the same individual.
Same
Oh, okay.
Supervisor, so
Okay.
that's my error, and same on the, it is correct on the original at 75,000, again, that's a rough estimate, so it is 75 in scenario 3 as well, it's just to share. Scenario 1 follows legislative intent. Scenario 2 and 3 gives your wishes and, like you said, partnership for funding other departments.
So the 2 truancy case managers we don't currently have those positions.
And those will go away if we do not get refunded, as will the support staff that we bring in.
So the ESD contract was. That was an idea to kind of provide more school-based case management.
Correct. It was an idea to essentially, instead of creating another in-house position, to create one through the school. But in light of how we want to allocate this and utilize it, we thought it was better to prioritize in-county supports. Because I think there's always a preference to having it within our umbrella as much as possible, particularly if we have to pick and choose.
So before the cuts happened, did the school district always kind of fund its own work on this?
No, well.
They did have,
they
yeah,
were
they
looking-
did have some in-house, because before the kids get to us, school, and that's in the law, does a lot of work.
Right.
There are certain steps they have to take, yeah, there's the community engagement words. And then when that is not successful,
So do they still have those boards or those staff members that
Yeah,
are
because
working?
it is required by law that it's minimum. And our largest school district is no longer filing the amended petition because they have not received the services of case managers. So they say, why? So we're not getting any help. We've already tried steps 1, 2, 3, you're step 4. Now you don't have case managers to.
You need to correct, okay. So do we expect that we may see filings go up when this funding gets put in place?
We will be certainly both from that aspect and also because of the support individual from the prosecutor's office. Before, the prosecutors did a great job of navigating this for the schools essentially. Mr. McCollum has been great in helping in the transition periods significantly, but just not in the way that they were able to do before, and really pull the schools hands through this legal process, because it's still a court process, and it's still hard for people who are unrepresented to navigate that, so we will see an uptick in filing, for those various reasons. The plus side of that is funding has historically been tied to filings, and so if funding continues, we should see that proportional increase if it relies on the historical models.
And I think the idea here is that, say, I'm taking filing, it's not that the court's trying to create work for yourself. It's that it's addressing a need that's currently not being met, that used to be met because of funding. So that's kind of the distinction. It's, this thing's already happening and needs to be addressed. Or didn't have the funding. So we have an exceptional employee that's worked as that paralegal prosecutor's office and is familiar with all people wayfinding that process and transition from school to court. So not an additional burden necessarily on the staff perspective, but from budget perspective to have that allocated in that regard. Corey was saying in relation to the case managers, every iteration encompasses having 2 troops of case managers. So that's that kind of patience to the court. That is this.
Can someone just really quickly, what is the difference between 2 and 3? I'm having a hard time
That's right.
following
So
the charts.
Big difference between 2 and 3 is 2 creates a new position of a staff support person that's going to help internally navigate the filings, scheduling, that doesn't exist currently. 3, instead of creating that new position, just provides funding for a position that's already doing that lead work. So that's the main difference, and that's why we see a savings difference between the 2.
If we hired a new person that would still be going on the application, only funded through June 30th.
Yeah.
Routine employment requiring.
That's the main difference.
So I'm clear with on scenario 1, the ESD contract, is that an individual? Is that just a contract for ESD to do work, or is it hiring an individual that would ESD hire a new individual to do that work? And if they would, do they sort of segregate them to just Spokane County? Because ESD service area is like it's the bulk of Eastern Washington.
It would be contractual, so the funding would be, we would be able to limit the contract to relation to the funding source.
Okay.
I don't anticipate that we would go with scenario 1 just because of where the value and what we're trying to do, and I know the priority of the county for the general fund issues. But if we were to utilize that or create that position in the future, it would just be a contract position that they need to do X, Y, and Z to get these fundings, so that they're supporting internally direct servicing. But yeah, it's great, good question. My thought, ultimately, this is an interesting scenario because ultimately the court has the allocation, but the county commissioners have to accept the funding. So my preference would be to know that the county would be supportive of either scenario 2 or 3, whichever the court decides. There was a preference or issue. Certainly we'll discuss that as the bench as well, because then I think the next step would be the bench would approve and say we want to allocate the funding for one of these two scenarios with an understanding that the county will accept the funding, and then we can get this going in October is our current start time based on everything that needs to happen. So I think that's the next step. If you all believe that this would be an appropriate route to go under either of these two scenarios, or if one's that sure we have to do this or not, and obviously discuss that.
I'm just gonna say, I think scenario 2 seems to provide that balance between. all of it. So. And
I just say I agree. I think it balances the need to protect the general fund, but also have the adequate bodies to be able to handle.
And I will say either scenario 2 or 3, as far as juvenile courts positions, these support staff and truancy, the hiring and the recruiting process, that's the October 1. This money was effective July 1, so current positions, the paralegal, public defender, clerks, they go back to July 1. So for your office.
right, but not to exceed what we anticipated in those, so in this scenario. Right.
I just want to thank Judge Schmidt, the bench, and Tori for working with the budget office and bringing this before the board. Really, it's the Superior Court that gets to allocate these funds, but the board has the veto power saying we're not going to accept this grant. I just think it's one more excellent step in the Superior Court bench working with the Board of County Commissioners and making really good progress. Thank you.
And thanks to Tori and the association for continually advocating, because this is a really positive change.
That's what it's about.
Yeah,
This stuff is
exactly.
important. They're about the kids in the community, so thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else you all need or questions? All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Matt. Is that right? Is that right?
Good morning, commissioners. I appreciate your time this morning. Have all different items in front of the board today for their consideration. First item is an easement. You can see on the overhead aerial that this is the Bigelow Gulch corridor. The parcels that are on the north side of the road, northeast side of the road that are purple are actually ones that will be part of the next presentation to be surplus. We're granting an easement to ourselves ahead of surplusing them. Essentially, it's a border easement for all road purposes. So happy to answer any questions on that. We just want to clean up our property rights. We surplus the properties.
So the ones in gray are the ones that we own.
Correct. Yeah, they're actually part of this next presentation to be surplus. We're cleaning up Bigelow. We have to close out projects, surplus properties. And I guess the board is aware that takes a very long time. Bigelow's been done for a while now, but we're just finalizing everything, and we had to get through all the property rights acquisition and condemnation process. It takes a very long time, but we're there. So it's
And
surplus
then
property.
this is the part over by East Valley.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Directly north of East Valley.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have a number of properties we're looking to surplus. I've been working on these with a lot of other things. The first few are Fund 501 properties, which is our engineering equipment revolving fund. You can see this is the Drumheller Pit. It's out on the West Plains. It's the Tucker Prairie, Malloy Prairie area, which is the very far southwest, really more west than south area. And there's two parcels there. One of them 4 acres, one 7.34. They're zoned rural traditional. In our discussions with legal, they've suggested we sell them together. Only one has legal access to it. That's the reason. We've had them appraised for $100,000 about a year ago, and like to move forward with getting them surplused. Any questions on this one?
So the only access is from that north end.
I think it's from the east, isn't it, Deborah?
Yeah, it goes through one of the housing lots to the main road there.
Okay.
Only one of our parcels actually has that access attached to it.
For a hauling road.
Okay, next slide. So another 501 property, and this one's the McFarland Pit. It's 11 acres, zoned large agricultural. The Hatarian Brethren have put an electric wire fence in to keep the cows off, but they were also in conversation with them, interested in the property, so they may be an interested bidder when we go out with the property. It's priced at $60,000, and that was in October of 25, and that would be our recommended price to start on that property. Any questions? Okay, next slide. So another 501, the last 501 property, this is the Monroe Pit. It's very small. You can see it's about 3/4 of an acre, rural traditional. Wouldn't be allowed to be that small in that zoning, so it's an existing non-conforming property. It's also triangular in shape, which makes it a little tougher to build on. But even with that, it was praised at $100,000. We feel that's probably a little high, but property in this area, 5-10 acre properties have been going for 200,000-250,000 and up. So not unlikely, since it is buildable, that we might get a party interested at 100 and like to start there. Next slide. So moving on, these are 110 or road fund properties. This first one is at the intersection of Market and Magnesium. See on the overhead there. This one's been a bit of a nuisance property for us. We at one time were considering putting a north facility up there. Similar to the old corral, it's very close sand. We've moved away from that. We kept part of the corral, as the board's aware, and have a maintenance facility on that. So there's no reason to keep this property going forward. We've granted ourselves all the property rights that we want off it. Next slide, please. You can see it's 4.75 acres. It's zoned heavy industrial, so it's obviously more valuable property. And there's a plume underneath it so that there's a monitoring well, but that's actually within our current right of way since we granted more right of way. So there'll be a border easement that we gave ourselves. Current appraisal or appraisal from September of 24, so about 2 years ago, was 930,000. We should start there and see if it goes. It's a good piece of heavy industrial property, so we do anticipate some interest. Any questions? Okay.
No, we've gotten a lot of calls on that over the years of people dumping stuff, so it'd be nice to unload that from our portfolio.
Yeah, it's been a nuisance in the truest form, so be happy to get that one off the books. Next slide, please. This one, the board's seen before. This is our Appleway and Dishman Road property. We had gone out one time before. The city of Spokane Valley. This is currently deep within the city of Spokane Valley. We developed it when we did our Appleway project prior to Valley Corporation. They would like a formalized easement along the north end where the existing stormwater facilities are, and we're obviously agreeable to that. That's why we originally purchased it, both for the alignment and for the drainage. So that part's been done. Next slide, please. It's 1.63 acres. It's corridor mixed use. It's pretty valuable property. Little surprised we still have it. It's a very, very busy intersection, as I'm sure the board's aware. It was appraised at 501,000. That was clear back in June of 23, which was very much the peak. That being said, we'd like to go to a second auction with this. So we're suggesting 450,000, so we're not dropping it a whole bunch. Just see how it goes. Any questions? All right, next slide, please. So these are the Bigelow Gulch properties that the easement was previously shown to the board is for. This first one, it's called the Otto Lane House, being on Otto Lane. It's 3.72 acres. It's zoned urban reserve, so it's rurally zoned currently. And it has a double wide on it. It's been appraised at 438,000. We've repaired the roof on it. We're suggesting maybe lowering the price to 399,000. See if we can't get somebody to bite on that one. Any questions on that?
This was listed for sale, correct? This
Yes.
wasn't it? And this didn't get any bites or?
No bite.
Okay,
Well,
because I remember there was an issue with the roof. I remember that. That was,
We
maybe
had
18 months
a-
ago, 2 years ago, something? It's been
Yeah,
a while.
It was
but-
last year.
Was it last year? Okay,
We actually did have somebody who wanted to buy it,
okay,
but their funding from their bank refused to allow them to
Yeah,
buy it.
okay.
So
okay,
with the hole in the roof, it made it so that it was not.
okay, cause yeah, I
the
thought
bank
that
said no.
this was a part of a package of properties that I think we put out kind of at the same time. I think
Right.
about the same time, the one that was out near the Valley Mall, that was the
Yes.
scope on property, they were all
Yes.
kind of in a
Yes.
package together, so.
Yeah, and that
okay.
one sold,
Yes, yeah,
the
but
Evergreen house.
so this one is ready to go now, fixed roof,
Fixed roof,
it's,
hopefully,
okay. move-in ready.
yeah.
All right, all right.
It depends on your expectations.
So did they fix the hole in the roof or did you just put this screen over it and call it a skylight?
Yeah, we fixed it.
We actually fixed
For road
it.
people.
We fixed it. There's still a crack in the ceiling. When you look, we didn't fix the inside, but we fixed the outside. So
Wait, whose house doesn't have a crack? Come on.
Yeah, very. Okay, any questions?
So, I know that I, passed along a conversation with, Shamrock with regard to the property they have out there off of Hayford and stuff. Did you have a chance to connect with him and is there an opportunity maybe to do something with regard to that property?
Yeah, we're talking Scott Wellens, and on
Yeah.
our end, our pit manager, Corey Peltier, is looking at it. What I directed him to do is take a look at it, give us pros and cons. We'll go out, we'll do a site visit. If it's beneficial to the county, I don't know why, but it has to be beneficial, and we just haven't seen that yet. Frankly, Corey's also in charge of the FEMA for the fire, for the roads, for public works, so he's a little distracted at the moment, but
Okay.
we and Scott followed up again today via email and we'll get back with him. I assured him that it hasn't fallen off our radar, but we're probably gonna need a little more time in light of the fuel lane, the fires. So definitely looking at it, and it may make sense. It just, I can't tell from an aerial, and Corey's closer to it. He's our pit manager, so he can go out and give us an informed evaluation, what that land swap would be, and we can go from there. There's some rock on our property that they would either have to move or compensate us for. There's some things to look at, and he'll get on top of that.
Okay. It just seemed like a great opportunity to benefit both of us.
I would tell you what, superficially it benefits them more than us, but once we dig into the details, we'll know more. And maybe that along with some financial consideration would make
Yeah.
perfect sense. Cause I know it would make a lot more sense from.
Yeah.
Okay, so more to come. Okay, last one is another one. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. This is also along Bigelow Gulch. It's the other property. It's called the Sullivan Road House. It's 3.85 acres, very similar in size, still urban reserve zoning. Also purchased for Bigelow, obviously. There's an existing 1971 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in very poor condition. It's a fixer-upper. And also has a 3,000 square foot shop. That's a good shop. Our folks have used it during the Bigelow project and other projects for staging our bridge crew. Praised at 440,000 about a year ago, and that would be our recommendation for to start at 440 and see how it goes. We can answer any questions. Okay. That's it for that. Thank you.
Hopefully the second.
Yeah, we have, I'll foreshadow to the board, I believe we have 7 hearing items plus 2 condemnation public meeting items, so it'll be a fairly long into the agenda. We'll get through.
Go by fast.
Yes, appreciate the words.
I
Ribbon, good stuff.
was just looking at that, no.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Mr. Jericho.
Yes, Jasper can lead us through the public meeting items. Those are a little different than public hearings, so.
Okay, we just wanna get heads up on that.
Yeah, and Jasper had sent an email. Madam Commissioner, and so that was kind of process. I'll follow up with Jasper to make sure I'm clear on the process, because it is a little different. We want to make sure it's done right. It's part of the condemnation process, so it's very regimented how you move through that process.
Some is informational only, some has public.
I'll set up. Okay, so that.
Make sure.
Well, good morning, Commissioners.
Good
Thank you
morning.
so much for your time. I'm here to talk with you about an expanded recycling service level ordinance for the county. County Code 8.58 designates that the county specifies a boundary within unincorporated Spokane County, where if you are a resident and you subscribe to curbside garbage, you also are required to pay for and receive curbside recycling. So if you look up on that map up there, some of you were here when we expanded this the last time in 2018. The areas in green were the pre-2018 areas, and then the areas in red were the areas that were proposed for expansion in 2018. That was passed. And so next slide, that's the current boundary that we have. So every resident that is in unincorporated Spokane County within the green areas, if you subscribe to curbside garbage, you also subscribe and pay for curbside recycling. We have not expanded this in 8 years. And since then, there's been quite a bit of development and population expansion, housing developments, either the more urban flavor or the suburban flavor. But we get residents calling in and asking, hey, you know, my neighbor 2 blocks away has recycling, or a block away, or sometimes it's next door. I want that service too. So we've been getting resident feedback. We've been working with the haulers to expand this boundary once again. So the next slide shows the areas where we are proposing to expand recycling. It looks like a big area. But again, these are more suburban and some of these a little bit rural, but working with the haulers, these represent WM and Sunshine areas for expansion. WM service homes count about 1,300 in the blue area, and Sunshine homes count about 1,000. And it's mostly in the Airway Heights or West Plains area, and then a little sliver up there in the northwest quadrant. Everything else is WM customers. The next slide.
What were those numbers you said again? How many?
About 1,300 for WM, and Sunshine is about 1,000, so total 2,300
All of
customers.
that area, only 1,300 homes there. Whoa, okay.
Yeah, and it's a little fuzzy too, because with this expansion comes a choice by the residents, right? So if a resident says, you know, I've been a curbside garbage customer, but I really don't want curbside recycling, they have the choice to then cancel their garbage curbside and then take it to our transfer stations. There are probably also customers out there who have not been willing to pay for curbside garbage if they can't get curbside recycling. So this number could, you know, bend one way or another depending on the resident's choice for services. So these are some of the factors that we have been considering over the last several months. One is resident requests per county code. The protocol and the process is for residents to call in. Sometimes they call into your offices and you forward them to us. Sometimes they call us directly. Sometimes we're forwarded customers by WM and Sunshine. But they're wanting curbside recycling. It's the general sentiment. We don't get many customers calling us saying, I don't like that I'm paying for recycling. The other factors that we consider are there have been some developments. One very dense population right off of Upriver Drive, where they were excluded from the recycling service level. And they said, there's a whole neighborhood in there. We are here, we have houses, one lined up against each other. We have great roads, we have, you know, sewer. Why don't we have recycling? So they're moving in either from the west side or from city to unincorporated. And they expect the same level of service in their neighborhood, but they don't have it. Also, I've been working with the haulers. Some of the lines are a little funky. It's not just clean lines. And that's because when we work with the haulers, they're looking at routes and availability to get on roads. Some of the roads can't support a garbage truck, so they don't want to expand into those areas. And then the last bullet on that slide is the Washington Recycling Reform Act. Next slide, please. This is a new law. It was passed last year. it has a couple goals, but the biggest one that's kind of propelled us to move faster on this expansion is that garbage subscription should be, recycling subscription should be available wherever garbage subscription is available. And they want that to happen by 2030. So if you're a hauler operating in our state, that's a big push. And if you wait until 2030, that's a lot of new trucks that are expensive. That's a lot of new cars. And so in working with the haulers, one of our goals was to provide a stair-step approach to 2030. So that way we expand gradually before 2030 and we're not expanding all at once to 2030. There's a couple other components in this law that I just want to make you aware of. And that it does establish a producer responsibility organization. That PRO, as it's called, will collect, I don't say them fees, I don't know what the right term is. They're going to collect dollars from manufacturers of plastic and paper goods. And those basically become the fund to pay for the recycling system costs. Those costs are what the hauler has to spend to provide recycling service. That gets passed on to the customer. So what we'll see is they also have a stair-step approach to reimbursing those costs. So right now, a WM recycling customer pays $9.43 a month for recycling service. In 2030, the resident who's paying $9.43 a month, $10, is only going to pay half that. So their recycling bill in 2030 will cost $5 a month. 2031, the reimbursement increases to 75%. 2032, the reimbursement increases to 90%. So by 2032, residents in Spokane County, if the recycling format progresses on its current path, will only pay $1 a month for recycling service. But we're not there yet. We have to get there.
Can you write that down and quote you on it and stuff?
We're seeing, yeah.
We're seeing that.
When you have the public hearing, it'd be great if you could present that as a part of it. Tell people it's the state that's making us do this, so.
I can definitely do that.
But then the state's charging fees to the hauler. See, how does it work that it's gonna be a reduced cost to the consumer?
That's the debate.
They're going to leave the building.
Yeah.
As the legislature said so, Mary, I mean, come on.
We're probably gonna see a
Very
like
nice.
increase.
The garbage will go up by 20, the recycling will be a 1.
You'll see an increase, what's being proposed and summarized is you might see an increase in things like packaging for your products that you buy from Amazon or the grocery store, right? That's gonna go up a few cents. And then that's how the PRO is gonna collect those few cents on the packaging and paper and metal cans and then reimburse for recycling rates to go down. Yes, it's complicated. It's still under rulemaking. But I think the big picture here is the haulers and the county are trying to work together to figure out a way to meet these requirements. So that way it's not a huge surprise to everybody, including the haulers, putting out a ton of capital all at once in 1 year. So next slide. So I'm here today to ask for your guys' approval to hold a public hearing to amend county code to expand the recycling service level. We would hold the public hearing on September 1st. April 1 would be the day that customers could receive recycling, curbside recycling. Likely Sunshine and WM would start advertising to their customers in Q1 of 2027. And then we would likely see further expansions like this in 2028, 29. Again, closely working with the haulers to figure out their economies of scale and what's achieved. Do you have any questions?
Is this making it accessible or requiring us to have the recycling?
Well, it depends on your viewpoint.
Well, no, it's one or the other.
It's a mandate, yes.
It's making it accessible to customers who want it. It's requiring it for everybody who wants curbside garbage. And
Oh, so you can't get garbage without it.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's a gun.
Oh, you can haul it.
It's a package deal, Jeff.
It's an incentive.
Maybe forced incentive.
Yeah.
Inducement.
I mean, I have both, I'm good.
Yeah, I do too. I've got both.
Well, they're trying to cut costs, because what they're doing is they take the garbage in the one truck. And then right after it, they put the recycling in the same truck.
They did that to me in Seattle, and
Yeah.
I quit watching my.
Yeah.
I saw them do it one day.
I'm confident that doesn't happen here.
Separate trucks.
Yeah,
I've never seen it here, that was Seattle.
So just to clarify, the blue area would be the expanded recycling area, which would match the garbage haul area. Or what, how did you determine the blue areas?
Good question. The blue areas are gonna be the new included areas. So after the code is amended, all of that turns green. So basically, we're just adding the blue areas to the green areas. So then after it's passed, all of that is one green area.
But the garbage area is still much further
Correct.
beyond that. Of people that just garbage, so. Do you have a map that shows that overlay? So we can kind of, I mean, I know it's gonna get messy and kind of.
Yeah.
If you could maybe put yellow or something beyond to show how far out. People only have garbage.
It is everywhere in the county.
Yeah.
So per the UTC, the WM, the hauler boundaries for garbage are across the entire county. So the only area that's not accessible right now is right up on Mount Spokane.
I thought there was more remote areas that didn't have service than just that.
If your roads don't allow for a truck to come up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've had
And you
people
don't.
reach out and I'm pretty sure they don't only live on. Spokane, but maybe not.
Yeah, and you're probably well aware of that, but there are some areas where drop boxes are allowed or like smaller dumpsters are allowed farther down. So a resident may have to drive a mile down their unimproved road to a spot that can support a garbage truck.
Okay,
In my development.
is that what you guys have to do?
Yes, so. I just take it to the dump. I don't do it that way, cause like if I gotta haul it all the way down the hill, which is, a mile and a half. I'm done.
Oh, I see. Further expansion is likely in the next year, so we'll need to continue growing that area to meet state law.
Very much.
Thank you.
We always learn stuff when Lindsay comes and presents stuff.
Garbage is fascinating.
We look forward to that time here.
Yeah.
Next, we have Eric Messenger, Sure Towards Met County. He's our project manager for PFAS and also governance. He gets a diverse.
Yeah. Good morning, commissioners. I'm Eric Messenger and I'm Project Manager of Public Works. I'm here this morning to talk about the Department of Ecology grant that we have been awarded in conjunction with the West Plains PFAS project. But yeah, so this grant's $170,000 grant from the Department of Ecology's Spokane Basin Toxic Reduction Program. It funds county staff time to administer and execute the PFAS filter distribution program. Only the administration, only the execution of. There is no county match required. The agreement term is through June 30th, 2027, and it can be extended to June 30th, 2028, which is after the client request. This $170,000 does not pay for any of the filters or installation of the filters. That is funded through the $7.45 million Department of Commerce grant. Currently under that grant, we have awarded the two contractors. One of our contractors is out conducting site visits, sampling and initial design work for these filtration systems. Second contractor has signed their contract. County is working on getting our signature on that contract, and they are set to begin site visits and sampling next week. The agreement for this ecology grant is near final. We've provided our initial review and comments back to Ecology 2 weeks ago, and it is currently in their financial review in Eagle. We expect a signature ready version later this week and anticipate bringing it to your authorization for the August 18th reading. So that kind of concludes my briefing. Are there any questions?
So we're getting additional funds for managing it. That's great. Because that way then the commerce money was 7 million goes directly to filters.
Yeah, the commerce contract's very specific. It's only for installation of filter systems. Then went out and applied for this grant for county time to administer.
And it's not the navigators, right? That's a different funding source. This is county administration.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, we've got many pots of money.
Very happy to have it. We want to pay Eric.
Yes.
And spending a lot of that.
Yes.
Spent a lot of time.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
Okay.
You this afternoon.
Yes, for a long time.
Quality time.
Speakers on Ponderosa today. Or at least about. Yeah.
Uh,
All right, we
Good
got
morning.
two briefings for you.
Okay.
Brittany is gonna start out and then Jennifer is gonna give her first brief.
Morning again. Mine should be pretty quick and easy. It's just kind of an odd situation that came up. We just wanted to bring to your attention before we move forward with it. We had a seller reach out wanting to sell a vacant parcel that they acquired. I think it was in 2025. And they did not realize that there was a deed of trust that was currently on the property. And so before they can sell it, they wanted to get that paid off. When they went to go pay it off, we realized we didn't have it on our books. We just had a deed of trust recorded. So it was just a little bit of like well, we know the principal balance based off of the deed of trust, but it was just never in our records other than that. So I was working with the auditors and with legal to just kind of figure out how do we need to go about this so that they can get that paid off, they can sell their property, and make sure we're not losing any funds that we should have been receiving on this property. So it is a personal loan. So this kind of time period, there was a bunch of personal loans from CDBG funds that were given out, and they were no interest, typically down payment assistance loans. And so it's a very small amount. It's approximately $1,846.20. So we're just looking to get your approval to accept payment on that loan and put it on our records just to get it paid off again. So we're looking at a total payment of $2,149.70. Of that was that $1,800 that would be program income to be redistributed as we normally do in our cycle. And then $303.50 for that reconveyance fee. So just looking for your approval, basically to put that on the books and then pay it off and reconvey the deed of trust. Just a little bit of an odd one, we want to make sure we brought to you before we end.
Okay,
With them all the way.
Thank you.
thank you.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Swisher. I'm the newest member of the Housing and Community Development Department. Today I wanted to bring forward a data sharing agreement between Housing and Community Development and the Long-Term Recovery Group. This is in conjunction with the Service Navigator program that we are in agreement with currently. And as a reminder, that program was for outreach and intake of the Oregon and Gray Road fire survivors in impacted areas, just to collect data and to have that data for future recovery activities.
This is for Oregon and Great Road.
Yes.
Yeah, what types of data will be shared and how does that help your department?
We have an intake assessment. We have case managers with the Service Navigator program, and they're reaching out to residents just to gather unmet needs and seeing how further we can help them. We have agreements coming up for home builds and just to see where we can help.
Okay, so this might help us shape where the DR is.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Welcome.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Appreciate it. Nice meeting you guys.
They're not online or in person.
See Dr. Mott. Okay. Dr. Mott, thank you for joining us. You want to unmute and we'll let you talk about your data sharing agreement.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. All right. Hi, I'm Dr. Mott with the Medical Examiner's Office. I'm going to be standing in for Dr. Singh today. Today, we are requesting renewal for a data sharing agreement that we have with the Washington State Department of Health with regards to their Suitors program. That is the state unintentional drug overdose reporting system. This is a longstanding agreement that we have had with the state where we provide information gathered from our drug overdose death investigations and autopsies for the state to compile into their state level data dashboard for overdoses and then pass that data on to the CDC for federal level data tracking for overdoses. And then that data on a federal level and a local level is used to track illicit drug trends, different kinds of risk factors for overdoses, and help local community leaders to create strategies for prevention and mitigation. As I mentioned, this is a long-standing agreement that we've had with the state, and they are requesting now that we extend that agreement through the year 2031. So we are asking that you guys approve so that we may continue providing them with that data.
Very good. I think that's a good thing.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Chief.
Well, he was coming, Josh wrote in HR was listening and he did confirm for the Under Sheriff Ritchie, it is currently at 120, not 180.
Okay.
So we'll make sure that's reflected next week.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Almost there.
And a quick change over what we submitted last week, Jeff, is that the Valley just got us a signed contract, so it's, I don't know if I have a copy for everybody. So.
It's okay. So what would you like?
It's a quick amendment to our Valley contract for work crew services. Sorry. It's the resolution, it's very last page. It just changes our rate that we're charging the Valley for work crew services. We started up, we're gonna work at the fair, but we needed that 1 week of prep time before we go out to the fair. Kind of a high risk environment, it's really wide open, so we negotiated, Lieutenant Robinson negotiated a contract with the fair, full cost recovery, the $2,000 a day. The changes they wanted to put in, if we end up for some reason partial days, we can charge them $250 an hour. So we're comfortable with it. Legal's looked at it already, and it's really just for next week. So.
Okay, so this is just for next week to go to the Valley.
Just to go to the Valley, yep.
Kind of do it. But they're wanting to have that service, so that it provides this opportunity to go kind of practice.
It works for us too, for our work crew officers to get used to being out there again. All new inmates, the inmates that we have that are eligible right now, none of them have been in crew before. not a single one of them, so it's a challenge. Yeah, it's a challenge for us, so.
What is it they're gonna be doing for the valley?
It's all litter at this point.
Oh, litter
Specific,
cleanup.
I don't have any details.
Okay. It's all good, but it's,
You can go anywhere and find litter.
it's not an event. They're not
No,
holding
no,
some
it's-
community
it's
event.
literally,
Okay.
And it's for the lead up to the fair, just to get there, usually the works being under.
You know, the kinks.
Okay. Makes sense. So.
Yeah, there's one of our existing officers prior to us closing that work group, as well as a new officer as well, that hasn't been on work group for quite some time, so. We've got, our officers are getting trained, it's everything, so this is a good week to have for us. In a little lower risk environment, so. And any other questions? I think it would be cool.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Is this on the second?
It should be on this afternoon.
Should be.
And I think we need to make sure we have the correct paperwork due to that last minute change of the signature. Just kind of how some of this is, been on.
Seeing where it is on the side. Oh.
Gonna give
Right, Tim Hayes might have not,
What are we looking for, Jeff? I'm sorry.
If it's on the consent agenda.
Making sure it's on the consent
Oh.
agenda, since you guys are gonna be doing this soon.
it's Q here, for Q.
In the matter of executing an amendment
Okay.
to the agreement between Spokane County and the city of Spokane Valley.
There's always by leave.
Oh, cause mine are stapled backwards.
So I think we just need to
Like I came to an end. I didn't realize there's a whole page here.
Need to verify that we have the correct amendment number 1 in there that reflects the minor changes with the signature and so forth. There's that we're all approving the correct thing, just
Okay,
what's happened this morning.
so you're gonna work with Shelby to make sure.
Yeah, we can work there to.
It just came across 5 or 10 minutes ago with the amended amounts from the Valley Factor.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you, appreciate it.
That's. Topic references in healthy. Committee.
Okay.
It's good information if you want to talk about it. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for the.
Maureen, Jordan, and crew.
All right. We're here to talk about affordable housing building permit program. Next slide. The program overview is expedited building permit review, which is essentially putting it in the front of the line. So you get to cut right to the front. And the fee deferral process would work where for any type of certificate of occupancy, whether temporary or final, permit fees have to be paid at that time. Normally, permit fees are paid before issuance of the building permit, and actually some portions of fees paid prior to processing and putting it in line. So this defers all those fees associated with the building permit to the right before temporary certificate of occupancy or final certificate of occupancy. Current portfolios show anticipation of up to 5 qualifying projects per year. It's speculative on how much this would increase those projects. All these programs around different jurisdictions are relatively new. And so we won't know until we know on how many this could incentivize. I'm sure George would like to add anything to that piece at all.
Yeah, I mean, so much of it, as we've talked with Jordan about what our portfolio looks like and specifically what Brittany manages on the team. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 10. It just kind of varies on the amount of funding that's coming through and what state fundings are coming in and everything else. So we wanted to give you all a number, but also wanted to be conservative with what that number might look like. We've also talked about some different screening and alignment for projects that come in looking for funding through our department and how we might use that as kind of a prioritization, knowing that they've got some additional funding and resources to be able to be.
Can I ask, George, to that point about, I mean, it difficult to kind of know how many, but a lot of the projects that come in from your shop that you brief us on, a lot of them are in cities. They're not an incorporated county too. Like a lot are in the valley. I think, I think the bulk of them are in the valley, aren't they? That you kind of present to us on?
I think it's fair to say that a bulk of the multifamily can be
Yeah.
in those jurisdictions, and I think that's why we kind of have more conservative on this, because we're kind of looking more at like the traditional multifamily projects that are coming in. But when we're looking at some of the single family, which is a lot more variables, right? We have like the recovery that can lead to a lot of homes being built in those rural areas. We can look at Habitat for Humanity's programs. They build a lot more like in those other areas, and so when we're looking at those, I think some of those projects can make that number go up a lot, especially for Crown Canyon, it's fair to say. So it really just varies a lot. It's hard to say though.
And to that point, the last bullet there is, a project does not mean one permit. Typically, a project may mean multiple permits. It could be one permit, could be 5, could be 10. Project is not exclusive to one project or one permit. It could be multiple permits per project. Next slide. Yeah, I'll let Nate take this away.
So Nate Quinn, County Prosecutor's Office. Morning, Commissioners. Following up on the previous research that Commissioners French and Waldron and staffs did on kind of the reasons to support affordable housing. There is better growth management planning goals for planning and accommodating affordable housing to each economic segment of the population. So that's 30 to 50% area median income and 50 to 80% area median income and so forth. So there's some support in statutes as well as the need of the county to document programs and actions as part of its comprehensive planning needed to achieve housing affordability and ensure that adequate provisions are made to support these different projected needs of all these economic segments of the community. So on the other side, there's the countywide planning policies. So these provide a framework for comprehensive planning in the county. They include expediting permitting and building permit fee deferral, which would help achieve these policies, as well as there's some support for, as Brittany mentioned, the homeownership side of things. So the increasing homeownership rates, there's some existing policy right now related to that. So if the county provides incentives for owner occupied houses, that can help. Next slide. This follows up your questions from the briefing last month regarding some of the things that other jurisdictions in the county are doing. Just a comparison of some of those strategies that support affordable housing. For permit fees, City of Spokane recently implemented a fee deferral program, and Spokane County's considering those a similar program to do fee deferrals and then also add the expedited permit review. And then on kind of ongoing costs, utility fee credits or reductions can help to pay for, that's a way to provide ongoing support for these housing units. And then there's other programs such as City of Spokane, has a multifamily tax exemption, and City of Spokane Valley's surplus property program, which Commissioner Waldron mentioned. Then there's some other strategies as well to provide both upfront and ongoing support. Next.
I'll take it from here on this one. Generally, the question was, well, how much time does this save? Which for single family is relatively straightforward. It's on average 17 days saved. It ranges from 14 to 21 days, depending on the current volume. Spring to summer, it's probably going to hover more towards that 21 currently. And then in the winter, it actually will be down to less than a week on average on that, at least the building department said. Typically, you can expect to range 14 to 21 days of time savings on a single family project, duplex or townhouse. Multifamily, like apartment, that's going to vary very significantly based on the project size and what parcel it's on and what challenges they're seeing on that parcel, such as critical areas,
Are they gonna need to go see Spokane for their water, sewer and the road? Do they need Department of Transportation? A lot of things can factor in on the multifamily commercial side of things. But on average, I saw set anywhere between 30 and 60 days. There's not a big sample size to get a really accurate average there. The records are really only accurate for really the 2 years I've been here. So that's the general range, 30 to 60. I'd anticipate we'd land somewhere right in the middle on average. And then, like I said, on the last little bullet is very dependent on the size and the parcel. For example, I just looked at a over 20 building apartment complex. That's going to be far different than, you're closing 4 smaller apartment complexes. So it can range widely. And this is the average fees that would be deferred for single family duplex townhouses. If you're talking single family, the average would go a little down. If you're talking townhouses, the average would go a little bit up, but you're seeing about 2,000, around the 2,000 mark. 2,348 is the exact average sample size I pulled. And then multifamily apartments, it's around 18,000. I'd say that's pretty true for most. Your smaller ones, you're going to go down a little bit. Your bigger ones, you're going to go up a little bit.
So as we say deferred, and I apologize if I catch this, how long are they deferred to? Because we're not saying that they're waived, they're just being linked.
Correct. Our permits go for 3 years from date of issuance, and I can give them another 180-day extension. So you're looking at typically a max of 3.5 years till you're receiving that money back. Or the other problem would be if the project fails, then you'd be trying to get that money back, which we have an affidavit for. This on the next slide.
And I guess that's, how do we know we could get the money? Because the permits, the big deal is like, you can't begin and do these things until you pay for that. So I'm just, what's the incentive for somebody to pay if they've already got it built?
The incentive is they have to have certificate occupancy to actually occupy. And then there is an agreement that we'd add into here so that if in the event the project did not finish out, that we would have a mechanism for getting that money back.
Or we put a lien on the property.
Yep.
I just want to make sure.
We follow the city's, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Following the city of Spokane's example, they have a provision for a lien to secure the payments. Then there's also, the certificate of occupancy and there's an agreement, even if they don't finish the property, the fees would still be paid or finish the project. And that agreement also includes, say they revise to not meeting the standards of the program, that then we would take them out of the program and get the money at that point. So if they did a revision halfway through the project. Next slide, I think that's on the next slide too. Yep. This is an example form. It's a bit smaller, but it's an agreement that they sign, and that's the one of the mechanisms we can use to get those fees back. I think that's City of Bellevue's example. This is our one. This is a draft of our agreement. City of Spokane also has an administrative fee to kind of start help track. So there may be some kind of upfront administrative fee propose to help track all of this paperwork. And I think that's the final slide. Next slide. Oh, there's a blown up version of that. This is the document I provided last briefing, kind of going over the summary of how it would look, the limitations, considerations, and then going over the overall draft procedurals that we would take in the event of implementing this process.
So where it says building permit fees will be deferred, reduced, waived, in this proposal, it's just deferred.
In this proposal, just defer.
Okay.
Yep, this is the original draft document from the prior briefing.
Yeah.
Commissioner Waldron.
I just wanted to thank legal and community housing and Jordan for their work on this. I really appreciated seeing the comparison with other cities and yeah, I really appreciate this. I think it would be a good thing for us to do as we try to meet our comp plan goals for having, supporting more affordable housing policies at the county. So anyway, I just wanted to thank you for your work.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
Let's move forward. Let's do it. And thanks to Commissioner Waldron and French for working on it. It's a good step.
Thank you all. Is there anything miscellaneous?
Just this afternoon, we're going to strike item H. It's the award bid for the left turn lane at the sheriff's office. Procurement and legal just found a couple of issues they need to tidy up and change. We'll be back next week.
Okay, and I had 4N was also used.
What's for what?
4N,
And
so 4H.
4H. No,
Yes, 4H.
or N is news to me, so.
Was that A as in apple or N as in newt?
It is neat.
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 That's neat.
That'd be more time.
I don't know, I just got a post-it note saying we're striking 4N. So,
Who gave you said note?
I think Shelley.
That to you now.
So can you,
From Mike,
came from who?
Mike Jacobs.
So send it to Jeff.
Just
Okay. I think somehow I heard it was Heather. Easier to strike things than have them go forward if people are ready, so. So did you find that out? Martha Lou, you have an update, miscellaneous, I see.
Well, it says media press releases and proclamations, and it's been quite a week and a half.
Has been.
Just to let you know that the communications office has, of course, worked with the Board of County Commissioners, the sheriff, emergency management, assessor, auditor, Superior District and Municipal Courts, Fair and Expo Center, Public Works and Solid Waste and Scraps, and also with other agencies and organizations like the California Interagency Incident Management Team 7, very impressive group of people. City of Spokane, Spokane Regional Health District, Spokane Public Schools, Inovia Foundation, Red Cross, Clean Air, Avista, and WashDOT. And I hope you've heard that State Route 291 is fully open. Just to let you know that we have been actively gathering information and disseminating it. I know you're working on a joint meeting with the city. You might want to consider a joint press conference or a county press conference, just to file away, and a proclamation for the firefighters and first responders. Just a thought.
Okay.
And that does it for me. Any questions?
I try to thank Martha Lou.
Yes.
We've been on the phone on the weekend, late at night. You've been really working so hard. So thanks for all you've been doing to herd all of the cats and get all the information and try to help us figure out how to communicate better. The website has been updated and Sharissa's been streaming things. So thanks for your work.
Thank you very much.
You've done a great job and have been working a lot of overtime along with everybody else. So yes, so thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're
And yeah,
welcome.
there's still discussions of potentially a joint city county meeting next Monday afternoon, but that is not confirmed.
Okay.
At all. So.
Well, and I know we do have a long haul. The road to recovery is going to take years, but we have a lot of information that is being developed and we need to get out to the public. So what the county is doing for our citizens to help facilitate that recovery. So the comms office is here to help you in any way possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I went in, it was just missing some information, so they are going to repackage it and get it out.
And so we just got 2 items that are going to be stricken from today's agenda.
Like Harry and like Nancy. Commissioner French, do you have a few minutes if we did a closed session? They said it did less than 10.
And then supposed to be there at 11:30.
You were supposed to be there.
What's that?
I thought your hard stop was, sorry.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay.
I would say let's go. And
Do you have?
So no executive session items, one
Is there
closed.
a time that I recommend we adjourn and go with fire? How many
we will
homes, how
adjourn from the
many-
morning meeting. Just a second, guys. We'll adjourn from the morning meeting and then go into our closed session and see everybody back at our 2 o'clock.